I'm going to tell you exactly. If you ugly and your teeth is falling off, I'll tell you. Because you need to be able to know who you are in order for God to understand you. If you go to God and say, well, I'm not this, I'm this, when you know that you are this, then there's no way God can help you. So because I'm a God-rooted person, I want everybody to be helped. And that's why I tell the truth. I don't want you to spend your whole entire life without the truth. Because it is the same truth that has given me life. And that's why he says, I will freely give. So I'm going to freely give. I'm not going to make you pay for anything. So there is a difference, because now I'm going to close with the business sector. I know a lot of you are in school and trying to figure out. Some of you are trying to build your own businesses, and some of you are trying to do something. But I want you to understand all that I've talked about is your foundation, and you need to start dealing with that before you can carry on and start doing other things. This means what I'm going to talk now must happen after you have achieved what I've talked about earlier on. So a baby is dropped at the doorstep. Let me tell you what a female will think. The female will think, how am I going to support this child? What am I going to do with this child? Because I've already had enough. You see, the woman will not be interested in who dropped the child, because the person is not there. You're looking for thin air. There's no time to be thinking who dropped the child. The only thing that you're thinking is how are you going to manage the child, because now you are a godly person and you can't just leave a child lying there and you want to talk about who came, who dropped the child. Now, a man would think differently. A man would say, oh, the future of this child doesn't look good. Because this child cannot grow without a father who is biological. And now I have to come in the gap. Now I have to start thinking, in the next 10 years, will I be able to raise this child for 10 years? That's a man thinking. If a boss leaves you with his company, the first thing that a man will think is, I need to take this company to another level so that when he comes here back, he must know that I am eligible to do and replace him when he's not needed. That is the thinking of a man. But the woman will not think along those lines. Because see, a woman is not a visionary. A woman would think along the lines, how am I going to run this thing? The only thing that a woman can do is manage. Now, the first thing under business that we're going to talk about is family business, because this is the most important thing here, right here. Family business. It is made out of two, which is a male and a female. And God had made it so divine and in a way that you can't escape it. It is just the way it is. And it's either you comply with it, because that's why we say God is not a philosopher. He doesn't say because you've done this today, I'm going to change it. No, no, no. He says, I'm the God who was and even needs to come. That means whatever principle he laid before is the same principle today. You can't change the principle simply because you feel good about changing it. So this is what happens. Let me go back to Genesis. Genesis, this is what God says to the woman. He says, you, woman, because you have done this, yours will be the desires of the man. That means you will not desire anything apart from what the man is desiring. The man shall be the head of you. That means the man is the faith between the woman and God. The woman, when a woman has a problem, she doesn't come to God and say, hey, there's no food. She's going to the husband, hey, baby, we're having a problem. You need to figure out something. So, who's supposed to be providing? Who's supposed to be the visionary? It's the man in this situation. Because the woman says, I'm ready to cook. I'm ready to do all the chores of the house. And that's why a woman has been trained, even from birth, to manage things. But you know, for some people it's a pity because some of your fathers did not teach you how to be visionaries because they had a problem becoming visionaries themselves. And so it is very dangerous. But what I'm saying now is this, is that marriage can only coexist when there is a plan and there is a strategy. And who provides the plan and the strategy? It is the man. Because the woman doesn't come with the thinking. The woman comes with the doing part. Because the woman puts the faith and everything that she has on you because you told her you love her and you promised her something. And she wants to see hope in that thing because she's having faith in you. Now, what am I trying to say? You can forget about it, girls. There is no way you're going to try and do something on your own. Because that's not godly ordained. Because when you do something on your own, then it means that you are now a visionary and you're no longer following the desires of your man. That means whatever you do has to be founded by the man before it can be founded by you. And that means in order for it to be founded by the man, you have to be married to the man. So you can't just be going around, playing around, and think that I'm going to make it. Yes, you will make it by the worldly way, the philosophical way. That's how you're going to make it. Because I have seen now a lot of teenagers, a lot of youth. This is what they say when you talk to them about their future. They say, well, I'll see when I get there. Well, you know, I'm not rushing to anything, so I'm still busy. I don't know, maybe I'll see what I can do. So this means this person is living under philosophy. They don't have a way. There's no character that has been built in them in order for them to understand what they should be doing. Because right now, at this time, we do not have time to be learning and thinking what we're supposed to be doing when Jesus has come and has told us everything that is there to know. The only thing that we're supposed to do is to implement. Because the plan is already laid out. You don't have to be thinking, what should happen after I marry her? What should happen after I marry him? No, it's already laid out. So this is the structure when you are going to try and go for a family business. And we're still talking on a spiritual level here. Now, there is the individual business, which is, of course, has to deal with the promise that God has given you. So even with the family business, a man he's the one that has the problem of having to find God. Because it is only God that can give him a promise. That promise automatically becomes a plan in his family. So if a man is without God, this is what we say, if a man is without God, then the man is lost. That is the definition. That is why we say those things. We don't say meaning that if you're not with God, then you are not saved and you will go to hell. We know you might be born again a day before Judgment Day and you can be saved. But when we say a man without God is lost, it's because you will not be able to achieve anything. Because you have now to rely on God. And so since all of you have chosen God, then you have no other choice but to deal with what God is giving you and what God is saying. Now last, we have the corporate business. The corporate business has to do, it's either you want to start a business or you're going to work with other folks. That means we're talking about you being a colleague to somebody. I'll tell you the most difficult thing there is trying to do business with a Christian and you are a Christian. Very difficult. This is why God made it a point that when he sent his people, he does not send his people to the people that are already. He makes you to meet new people that are not even in the boundaries of where you are. You see, when Jesus died, let me tell you this, you need to understand this. This is very scriptural. When Jesus died, who took care of his flesh? It was a non-believer, a rich man. He bought the tomb and he decided, well, I'm going to put Jesus here. Okay, Elijah having all the powers to prophesy the way to reign and all these things, but couldn't get a place to stay. But yet the rich man says, oh, I'm going to build this place just for Elijah so that when he comes, He's able to be. So this means you have to choose now. This is two paths. It's either you're going to be a spiritual man or you're going to be a man that will feed the ministry of God. So if a person is spiritual, that means you start talking in tongues, you do all these things that Paul speaks about. You are no longer under the criteria of wanting to be rich and be wealthy. You have moved into a spiritual level. That means you are a being who's living spiritually. And so you cannot get physical benefits. That means you have to be rich in the spirit. Because if you try to go for physical benefits, you're going to confuse the people and contradict the people. Because the people will be saying, well, he's a man of God. He shouldn't be having jets. He shouldn't be having Mercedes Benz. He shouldn't be having that and that. Because the people themselves have been ordained to take care of you. You don't need to be telling somebody if you're a spiritual being what they need to do. They do it before you can even tell them, because God that is in you is the one that is the same faith in other people that helps you when you didn't even say anything. That is why I say for many people, because they want to be saved, well, you see, I got the latest Lamborghini. Because you want that, you need to keep the balance. You don't go too far-fetched to the spiritual world, because when you make decisions and you make certain declarations, you automatically shift and go to the spiritual world. And you don't understand. You're asking yourself, why am I not making it? The reason you're not making it is because your benefits do not lie in the physical realm. You did not put a seed and plant a seed on the physical realm. You planted a seed in the spiritual realm. And that's what you must get. I'll tell you something like this. Solomon. Have a study case with Solomon. Solomon was not a prayerful person. He was not a spiritual being. He did not do things Elijah did. He did not do things Jesus did. But he had all the wealth in the world. The wisdom and understanding and knowledge to show you that these two things do not work together. If you want to make it, then the things you should be acquiring about is knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Don't go on, God, I want to see you. God, let's talk. Don't go on those things. Talk about, God, I want you to give me wisdom and understanding and knowledge so that I can know what to do in this earth. How do I bring a blessing to you through the earth? Because you can't have two ministries. You need to have one ministry. You can't be a minister who's ministering to the physical and be a minister who's ministering to the spiritual. It is impossible. The two of you have to be separate. So ladies and gentlemen, you need to make a decision. And that is all that I have to say today. I try to break it down so that you can understand. Because this can take 3 to 4 days, because I'm just talking about the spiritual component. I didn't even talk about the lifestyle. How you should be talking, how you should be standing, how you should be presenting yourself to show that you are what you say you are. I didn't even talk about the environment, the kind of people you should be dealing with, the kind of places where you should be. I didn't even talk about how you should be executing things and implementing things. I didn't talk about, as a woman, how you're going to be able to manage things. So you can understand, this is a very vast conversation. But it is necessary. It is for the fact that you are able to understand who you are, because I could have chosen to come and talk about how you can make it and get jobs and be rich and all these things. But I understood one thing. When God spoke to me, He said, nah, you need to start with faith and success. Because success has no boundaries. It's not success only on business. But I'm telling you now, it's success on everything. Everything. If you were able to do that and live by it, since you say you want to live by God, then this is your pattern. And this pattern is what is going to help you to make it in life. You must be decisive in decision making. And to be decisive means that you must be rooted in knowing God, so that you know which decisions to make. Let me tell you this. People who are in God can still make the wrong decision. David made the wrong decision by taking another man's wife. A lot of people made wrong decisions, even though they were still with God. But you see, the point successful in everything that you do is when you're able to be confident about every decision that you make and everything that you know about God working towards you, working for everything, and you're able to see the results of everything. Because I don't want to talk about the knowledge of God and God on the basis of results. Because when you talk about God, it's a different story from trying to get results in your life. When you talk about God, you have to talk about God's divine, eternal state. That means you do not go to God because you want to be rich. You do not go to God because you want to be successful. You do not go to God because of any other thing. You go to God because of His divine state. And so all the other things that you're going to acquire, those are the things. This is what He says on the book of James. He will give you the desires of your heart. That means whatever that He's giving you now is no longer based on Him and you. It's based on what you want. And why is that? It's simply because you have followed all the patterns that are supposed to be followed, and you have done and pleased God to a certain extent where you provoke Him to even do certain things for you. And you will not experience that kind of lifestyle if you didn't start with the act of listening. And that is very important, very vital. Faith to bring success. I will open the panel now for people that have questions. And don't tell me you don't have the questions. It's impossible. It's highly impossible. A lot of you have been sitting down. I know some of you were not listening. You were busy having ideas, opposing ideas by one another. You see,